Today, we were talking about just before we hit the live button is that there's a mistake we see a lot of real estate professionals, a lot of real estate agents make, and they kind of just think a deal is kind of quote unquote dead, or it's like, there's no longer a solution there when it's not really. And that was the kind of the topic that we wanted to kind of go into and some of the things that we've seen over the years and some of the ways that we can still help clients out, even though on the surface it might feel like it's a quote unquote dead deal, so to speak. So why don't we kick this off with you, Ryan? Finding the yes and how there's always a way. Like what are some examples of your illustrious career and all the deals that you've done, of kind of taking what should be something that's stalled and we can no longer help a homeowner and finding a way to put something together.
So what I think is really important for everyone to like contemplate when thinking about like how are they willing to go with a deal is what's their background? How are they taught in this business? So there's a distinction between investors and realtors. And, that doesn't mean there's not crossover. There certainly is. Investors think about deals, I think a little bit differently. There's not really the same box, if you will, that is in every investment deal, whereas there is a box per se for a retail deal. So I say all that, give context because I got involved in real estate on the investment side, specifically doing short sales. And I was proposed with a ton of roadblocks and a lot of no's. And it's just, how do you find a solution? There's a tax lien on a property. Have you ever gotten a tax lien off a property? Well, no. Though, if someone's done it in the past, you can do it again, right? So there was a ton of roadblocks that I was faced with when doing literally every single first deal I ever did. And it was never a question as to, okay, well, this roadblock's up and the deal's dead. It was just, okay, who do I have to call? Well, do I have to get them?
And so from an agent standpoint, it's sign this listing contract or sign this buyer agency contract, and I'm going to help you buy a house or I'm going to help you sell a house. That's how I'm going to get paid. And that's all there is. So then the investor standpoint is like, well, I'm only getting paid if I buy this house. And if there's liens, if there's all sorts of complicated stuff, I just have to be resourceful and find a solution. Caleb, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, so there's a really bad curse, and I talk about this a lot with agents, that they only think in 6% or the 3%. So all agents think about when it comes to a deal and what they think their fiduciary duty for their client is. And I'm going to go into this a little more. So before you guys shun me here listening, everyone thinks like, I just have to get the 3% of the highest dollar amount because that's what my client wants. And it's not always the most important thing is to get the most amount of money, because some people just want a quick, easy sale. Some people want a stress-free process. So the biggest issue with agents is all they think of, in my opinion, in my experience, is 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, when there's a lot of other problems that need to be solved around that. And they actually are doing a huge disservice to probably 10 to 15% of their clients by literally only thinking in 3%. And I would say that you're working against 15% of your clients' fiduciary duties by thinking that way, by thinking that only price matters. So there's all these other issues that have to be solved that agents give up on a lot.
So, Ryan,
I was going to add something real quick here, that it's not the easiest path. So like you said, Jim, go and get a listing agreement signed or a buyer's agency agreement signed and then go and do a deal. I get it. That's relatively easy. Investment deals typically don't go that easy. If they are, that's great. And there is a point. I'm not suggesting that there's not a point at which you spend too much time on a deal and it does become too cumbersome, right? And that's what experience will give you. My point in saying that, I was faced with a lot of objections is that was my background. So now, fortunately, I have some knowledge, and for anyone else who did short sales also has a great deal of knowledge as to when is this not going to actually be worth my time. Because I'm not suggesting by any means that there are some deals you should not do because they're going to take too much time, right? There is extremes for both. There's a happy middle ground, like Caleb said, trying to see beyond that 3% on both sides.
Yeah, and investors get too caught up too on, can I buy this for the lowest price? So there's got to be that happy medium, I think, to be able to do the most deals and really serve the client to the highest level of service. Is not just the agent side, but not just the investor side, but a happy medium, and making sure that you have that person in your back pocket to help you out when you aren't the best person there, because there's deals that Ryan's not the best for, there's deals that I'm not the best for. And we have to bring people in to help us out too, which is really important for saving every single deal.
So what are some scenarios, guys, where we see some common mistakes where people might say, hey, there's nothing we can do to help out, and see you later, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner? What are some common scenarios you guys are seeing?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, we're seeing some people that bought near the end of last year, last summer, that they don't have 5, 6, 7, 8% equity to be able to sell their home. And people are telling them, no, you can't sell your home unless you need to bring money to the table. And that's false. Mortgage assumptions we're starting to see become very popular now in this market. And there's hardly anybody's talking about them yet, but a very small group of people are starting to do those. So I think that's a big, what's going to add a lot of value is the mortgage assumption subject to aspect of the world. Ryan, I'm sure you can add on to that even more.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a couple of weeks back. Maybe it was a month ago now, but yeah, we're really expecting that. What is in some circles considered a negative 4-letter word, that being debt, to actually be a positive. If you have a mortgage that is in the 2s, the 3s, that actually could turn into a bit of an asset moving forward, depending on where rates are. I mean, we aren't fortune tellers. We don't know what's going to happen. If rates do continue to rise, those people who have attractive mortgages might be able to sell for more because terms actually end up being more important. The term that is the mortgage that you have.
Yeah. So like, what do you mean by that? Like, tell me more on that.
So I love this, and Ryan actually taught me this, but the dollar amount is only one term. There's so many terms in a deal, and so many people get hung up on the dollar amount, but the interest rate of the loan, the amount of time to close, the inspection period, those are all terms, and they all have equal or less value. But the value of having a 2% mortgage now is high value to be able to get out of the term of a deal if you can structure that the right way. Especially, I mean, we talked about this, I think it was a month ago, where the cost of a loan difference can be $100,000 over 30 years on a few percent on the interest rate. So to me, that's a really great term when it comes down to if you're going to hold that property the whole time.
Yeah, and I will see a lot of people thinking like, I need this house for 200. They're asking 205. Let's blow this whole deal up and let's walk away and move on. Well, I mean, if you're able to do an assumption on the mortgage, as a buyer, you're winning at a much higher level. Yeah, as Caleb just said, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And so, yeah, so having the knowledge and being able to be creative and not just kind of call that deal quote unquote dead, being able to come up with other solutions is really important. So Ryan, how do you get good at this? Like I mean, you're an expert at this. Like, how the heck did you become an expert at this?
I don't know if I am. I appreciate that. It's just reps. It's just like anything else. One of my favorite videos that I've watched recently or even the last few years, it's a guy who, and I've told this story a few times and I'm not nearly as good because it wasn't my experience. However, I'm going to give you like the 30 second to a minute version of it. So this guy is a super big fan of Kobe Bryant, and he goes to a camp over the summer. He meets Kobe Bryant the first day, and he really wanted to see Kobe do his workout because Kobe was notorious for having phenomenal workouts, worked out every single day. So he goes up to him and expresses that he wants to go to his workout the next day, and Kobe says, "Yeah, that's perfectly fine." He says, "Hey, meet me there at 4:30." And the guy's like, "Well, we have camp at 4:30." And Kobe's like, "No, 4:30 a.m." And Kobe's, you don't have a good excuse to not make a 4:30 appointment, do you? No, because you're going to be in your hotel. So the guy thought he was going to be really clever and get there at 4 o'clock. So he got up at like 3:30, got there at 4 o'clock. He steps out of his car. He happens to hear in the background in the gym already that there's a ball being dribbled. Here's the ball, and Kobe's already there. at 4 a.m., half hour before his workout actually begins, he's already got a sweat on. So the guy doesn't bother Kobe. He goes to the bench, and a half hour later, his workout begins. And the guy's just amazed because Kobe, with his trainer, starts doing the basics, starts doing just fundamental drills. So then after, a very intense workout, I don't remember how long it lasted. Kobe, the guy asked Kobe, why'd you do that? That's what I teach my kids. He's like, because I want to be an expert at the basics. I want to be an expert at the fundamentals. I can't be who I am in the game until I'm great at the fundamentals. So you ask how anyone can get really good. It's just repetitions. It's continually doing the things that we do in business. And by the way, Kobe was doing that at practice. Where we see, and we've seen this throughout our career, where we see salespeople fall is that they want to go out on the court in the game talking to a client right away. They don't take the time that it's required to have some scripts or role plays and talk every single day to people about real estate and what's going on. They just want to go straight to their client and start presenting to them what they have to present. That's not an expert. That's someone who's just trying to sell.
And especially as this market changes and leads get tougher, I think we've been talking to our team about this a lot. The new battleground is conversion.
Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to dorseydeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already Three Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount that's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the Three Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest.
The new battleground is conversion. Converting every lead at the highest amount is literally going to be everything, no matter what business you're in. If you're a realtor, if you're an investor, if you're a hairstylist, every lead you get, every customer, as the market shifts, and we're all seeing it shift, no matter what business you're in, leads are getting tightened up. Money, everybody's starting to hold on to their money. Conversion's a new battleground, and the way to get better converting is script practice, role playing, getting back to the basics. Amateurs practice to get it right. Professionals practice to never get it wrong.
The two best salespeople with regards to conversion that we have on our team on the acquisition side right now, they are people who've been in the business for 15, 20 plus years, and they ask a ton of questions. They don't close. Their close is, so what do you want? Well, I want 210,000. So if I gave you 210,000 today, would you accept it? Yes. Okay, here's a pen. That was three questions. Now, by the way, they ask 50 to get up to that point, but they're not saying, "Oh, hey, here's 210,000. What do you think?" No, they're asking the client what they want, fulfilling the client's needs, closing the deal.
And when you're able,
I think what Ryan's getting at, if I can kind of recap it a little bit, put a little bit of words in his mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, is the part of how you save deals and you structure deals is you ask questions to identify what is the root cause, like what is the actual problem, rather than just say, okay, we're $5,000 off in this negotiation, it's a dead deal, let's move on. Well, why are we $5,000 off? Well, what do you think? Like, what's going on? Well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And you just keep asking questions. You keep diving into it and on trying to identify what that root cause is and like what the root of what people want. I mean, there's days, guys, when I wake up and like we think as professionals, we just think our clients should know what they want. There's days I wake up where I have a hard time figuring out what I'm going to eat for lunch for that day. Much less with like the most important investment decision of most people's lives, their house, and they're not professionals at it, and they haven't sold a house in maybe 20 years, much less like being able to make that weighted of a decision. And so then, so the job is to kind of be a doctor and ask a bunch of questions.
You have to meet your client where they're at. no matter, once again, I'll go back to this. This is any business. Meet your client where they're at. Customers always first. You have to go to them, not make them come to you, and figure out what their problem is. The entire value of a business is solving other problems. And the harder the problem, the more money you're going to make by solving it. That's the best way to save deals.
Figure out exactly what the problem is. So like, what's worked for you, Caleb, as far as doing this goes? Like, do you have any stories around this or?
So recently we've had quite a few that we are big, like I would say the Illinois team right now is buying a lot of back on markets. A lot of people, so in real estate, those of you guys that are in our industry have seen that the fallout rate, the fall through rate has went through the roof over the last quarter on deals. So a big problem that we're helping people solve is when they come back on the market and they, have 2 weeks to find a new buyer to close, or their house that they're buying falls through. So that's been a big solution that we're able to help agents in Illinois, and we're even working on in the Missouri side. If you guys are over there, is if you have a client that has to sell quick because they need to buy and their buyer fell through because buyer needs and buyer expectations are through the roof, we are there to be able to come in and solve that problem. I'd say some other unique stories. We had a client last year. We talk about this deal all the time, Timberlake, and it was listed for 6 months. Once we got in front of the seller and talked with the other agent, we found out that, she didn't want to drop the price. She just wanted a cash, easy close. And that was what was important to her, was being able to close when she wanted, not having to do any inspections, and quit having people come through her home. And she didn't care as much what she got for it. She's like, as long as I get my dollar amount, which was $150,000 and less than what she was asking, with no inspections and nobody else had to come through her home, she was fine. And we were able to solve that problem based on asking the right questions. So yeah, to me, it's all comes down to asking the right questions, figuring out what the problem is, and being able to get terms in line with that helps the client.
So Ryan, we had a problem with an agent friend of ours came to us, Jennifer, and her client was approved for a loan. Then they underwrote it, and then they ended up not, getting the underwriter it was a silly little thing. They still should have been approved, but ended up saying no. So how do we save that one, Ryan? What happened on that one?
Yeah. So, what's awesome is this agent, she didn't take no as the answer. She explored other options, and she knew that we could potentially provide a solution. She really didn't have any justification for calling me other than she knew that we did some things. We have a hard money lending business. We do some outside the box things. So she called and we explored a hard money loan to try to bridge the gap to when they could actually get approved. And that wouldn't work based on our lending criteria because they'd have to put too much money down, which they didn't have. So then we said, okay, well, we do lease to purchase. So would they be interested in doing a lease to purchase? She said, sure, depending on the terms, right? So after some exploration, we decided that it was a house we were open to buying. We were working with a lender that could get us a loan relatively quickly on that particular deal. So we put a deal together, got the loan. It took us less than 30 days from the time I think we actually put it under contract. There's a little bit of a delay, for at least from the seller's perspective, but we did it quickly. That particular buyer is in the house still. They are doing a lease purchase with us, and that agent actually got paid their commission just as if they sold it to that client because we bought it instead of them. We have some financial upside, which was the way that we were able to make it work. The client was still happy because they were able to buy the house. They thought they were still paying a reasonable price. So I know some people on our team don't like that term, the win-win-win. And in this case, it truly was all three parties, and actually the seller as well, all walking away happy. And it was all because the agent didn't take a no.
Yeah. And the creative solution ended up being we just bought the house for her client. So hold on a second. Who doesn't like win-win-win? Like, you can't just say something like that and then not go into details. Like, what in the world?
So one of our team members just thinks it's cliche. So one of our sales team members.
Oh, I thought there was more there.
I know. I thought we were going to get a name. Call
No,
somebody out.
no. There's nothing there. It's just
A win-win-win or no deal.
yeah, the cliche. The cliche. Some people aren't huge fans. So
Oh man.
Yeah. So the ability to ask questions, not take no for an answer, is it's going to save as many deals as you possibly can, and knowing the who and not the how.
So let's just think about this deal real quick from the agent's perspective. You're an agent out there. You've got your client under contract. You've got a loan denial. Oh, crap. Now I have to go and show them in this market. You might have to show them 20 houses. I don't know. I mean, maybe more, maybe less, depending on their price point and how many houses are available. Regardless, you're going to spend more time, right? Then you're going to have to do the inspection. Then you're going to have to negotiate that. You got more time to do another deal. In this case, they wanted the house still. So Jen, she ended up Jen spent time on the deal, additional time to fix it. Yes. And I would argue that she ended up spending less time to fix the problem than she would have to find her client a new house. And there's no guarantee, by the way, that she'd A, have kept her client, or B, would have found her client a house that they liked as much.
Well, yeah. And Ryan, you're actually missing even, in my opinion, the most important part is her client got denied on a loan. Like, I mean, at that point, when you're a buyer's agent, it's kind of like they can't buy anything now. So like the other options would have been like talking to a bunch of other lenders, and maybe somebody else would want to do that. But let's assume
it's usually lights out. If you get a denial letter, I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole trying to find other lenders, but there's not many that can do those.
Yeah,
that's the coolest value add to an agent, or that an agent could do for their client ever. Now they're homeowners, and homeownership is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, they still got the commission and everything like that, but like I think like brand new in the industry, Jim, and I think I see a lot of brand new agents and investors, both parties do that, is you get to that first obstacle, there's a challenge, there's a problem, and instead of asking a bunch of questions and trying to solve it, it's okay, see you later. I'm going to move on to the next one. Well, that's kind of how you get paid, is to solve problems, right? That's why you're there. If there was no problem, there wouldn't be a need, and it wouldn't make sense for a kind of like a deal to take place, right? So
this is another instance where it's the who, not the how, right? The who, not the how. So who cares if you're brand new in the industry? The people who are going to have success are the people who aren't afraid to ask the person next to them at the desk, or the person in their office, or somebody via Facebook page. Who cares? Ask questions, seek to find. And you might not find the solution. Jen might not have found the solution to her problem. However, even if she hadn't, she would have gained some type of knowledge. And the next time she faced a problem, she may have been better equipped to handle that problem because she explored alternative solutions to that issue.
And so many people feel that just because they don't know the answer to a question, that makes them seem uneducated. That I see that as a very common thing in real estate. But when you're an agent and you don't understand something, the ability to go out and accept that and find the people who do, that shows that that's an educated, that's an intelligent person. The people who just say no because they don't understand, it's a big
yeah. And I mean, it's a maturity thing and a strength thing. Like being able to be vulnerable is actually strength, in my opinion. I mean, I was guilty of it, Caleb. I mean, I started when I started, I did one deal in my first 18 months. And part of the reason why was I thought I had to study for a year and learn all this stuff, that half of which I forgot and didn't really understand because I wasn't doing anything at that point. I was just in analysis paralysis studying. But I didn't want to admit that I was new. I didn't want to like have someone look at me like a newbie. Oh, that was a dumb question, and the reality is like, there's not anything more lethal to rapport and trust than if someone asks you a question and you make up the answer. Like nowadays, I mean, there's someone, we've been doing this 13 years. I think we added up, it was around 3,700 plus deals between the leadership and our group. And we'll get asked questions, and it's not uncommon for us to be like, you know what, we haven't heard that one yet. I don't know the answer to that, but I know someone that does. Let me get back to you on that.
I just said this the other day. Someone's like, what's your favorite part about like now that you're at Three Doors? I'm like, did I get to sit next to Ryan Wessels? And like, I'm like, I've done a ton of deals, and there are deals still where I'm like, hey Ryan, will you check this out? Like, I don't know if I'm looking at this the right way. The ability to have somebody else to look at my deals too has been really great too, because I miss things, and just having a second set of eyes is so important for everyone.
So while I appreciate that, and you both have given me accolades, I don't care who you are, it's always great to have a second set of eyes. We implemented a second set of eyes several years back because it doesn't matter who you are, you get little blinders on when it's your own deal. You know, it's really beneficial for you to be able to bounce some stuff off of someone else who isn't involved in the deal. So yeah, you might gain some knowledge from me, but it's only because I'm looking at it from a different perspective, not because I really have that much more knowledge than anybody else. It's just because you gain more knowledge by being outside of it than you do when you're inside of it. Because you're in the battle, you're in it. So you get those blinders, you just lose sight of maybe this or that. It's not like you're outside of the lines too much. You may just be slightly out.
Yeah, a lot of times when Ryan will come to me on like a second set of eyes, a lot of times it's just I ask like 2 questions and then he's like, "Oh, okay, I got it." Just that outside perspective is just so crucial, so critically important, right? Absolutely, and a lot of times you even know the answer, but just having that other perspective is kind of what gives you the clarity to move forward.
Yep, absolutely.
So we talked a little bit about saving deals and everything of that nature. We hadn't talked about doing this, but I do kind of want to say it. We're in the midst right now of doing something super special, and we haven't talked about it yet, but we are going to be launching something soon. And the reason I want to bring it up now, guys, is because we believe in home ownership so much, and what we're going to be launching helps home ownership. It also helps everyone within our company. It's the cliche, it's the win-win for everybody involved. And it's another way for us to actually be able to save more deals in the future. So I think it's important for everyone to know we're truly working right now here at Three Doors to not only be able to help you who are in the industry, but also help your clients, and not to be a forever renter. We want to help your clients be homeowners. We do not believe in this world of own nothing and be happy. We still believe in the American dream of home ownership.
And that's one of my favorite thing about what we're doing, because I'm so excited, because homeownership, I was trying to pull up just different stats of how it helps people build equity, how it helps communities, and the amazing things that homeownership does in a community. People who have pride in their homes compared to renters. So yeah, we're real close to doing what we did with Jennifer Brinkman's client, to literally be able to help everyone's clients in that same very way at a very, very high level. And we're super excited to be able to hopefully in the future help save every single one of your guys' deals. I know that's talking around things, but
hey, you're just gonna have to keep staying tuned to hear more. We're getting into legal phase soon, so it's going to take a few months to get it all sorted out.
Give us 6 months, you'll be seeing us talk about it everywhere. All right, you guys ready to wrap this episode up?
Yeah, I mean,
I am.
I think we're good.
Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you got a bit more out of this business bits with Ryan, Caleb, and Jim today, and we will look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Okay, that's a wrap, guys. So for additional resources, check out doorstodeals.com/093. If you're an agent trying to get into this investing game and figure it all out, we can help you. That's how we help people just like you every day, and we can help you get to the next level. So finally, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock doors to deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.